Alex, you had babies once.
I did, but Erica's going to take credit for it, so I'll let her take credit for it.
Do you take issue with when women say we're pregnant and they're talking about them and the father? Or do you
I think that's wonderful.
You say you find that endearing?
I find that endearing that
Okay,
there's actually she's like, oh yes, I do want to have a father figure for my child in the picture.
I agree. I was just curious.
Sometimes
you surprise me with harsh feelings on things. So I wasn't.
Yeah, because I think there was. Who was it? I'm thinking for some reason it was Mila Kunis or something. I think she and Ashton were having kids, and she corrected. Somebody said, "Oh, you're having a baby," just like talking to her, and she's like, "Oh, we're actually having we're having a baby or something," or maybe it was the inverse of that type of thing. But I remember somebody saying something about that. I don't know. Not 100% certain.
A quick fact check.
She also smells.
Mila Kunis is against men saying we are pregnant. So she's someone who's opposed to this. Let's see.
Well, she smells. So
let's see. This is a Jimmy Kimmel video.
To promote a movie, not just being a working person in general, but is it difficult for you when you're pregnant?
No, it's fine.
It is.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's totally fine.
It's going to get more difficult when the baby comes out.
Yeah.
Because they're louder when they come out. Yeah. My wife and I are pregnant. We're having a baby very soon as well.
Oh, you both are having a baby.
Yeah.
You and your wife are pregnant.
Yeah.
That was so set up.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mila Kunis.
Clearly.
Yeah, we know.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Mila Kunis, with a very special message for all you soon-to-be fathers. Stop saying we're pregnant.
Okay, you could turn her off. You could turn her off. I've heard enough.
Okay. I think it's cute. I don't know.
I mean, if you're going to have an issue that, how about can we just say we're expecting?
Yes. I'm sure that's what
I know she's
There's lots of women who say we're pregnant too because they want to include the father.
Well, there's also a lot of women
that experience.
Yeah, a lot of women tell their friends, "Hey, text me when you get home."
Yeah, well, that's
so
true.
we're gonna.
There's a throwback to an old episode. Check out that episode now at
the sisterhood isn't united at all times.
I don't even know.
Is it?
I don't know where. Is it that? I don't know. We never use any of these functions, and I always forget. Anyway, you had an easy time naming your babies, I expect, right? You guys,
sure,
yeah. And you didn't go with anything strange or let's say exotic.
No character from Game of Thrones. Nobody from the Harry Potter universe. I did not.
No anime, which I was very disappointed about.
We know people that name their kids Goku and Gohan. So
what?
Anyways, yeah, I didn't name him after a comic book villain.
If I had a son, I would name him Guts.
Guts. Okay.
That's a man's name. It's like
Guts.
It's like what's your oh, he's adorable. What's his name? Guts.
His best friend is Wolverine. They play together at kindergarten.
He loves to play with Wolverine and Tyrion.
Oh God.
But that bitch boy Shinji can't hang. Anyhow, Shuji-kun. Japan does not think that those fancy names are a good idea, or I should say, flashy names. Japan cracks down on flashy baby names in new naming law reform. This is from the Sri Lanka Guardian, though I did cross-reference this with other articles, so it is a real thing. I didn't just follow the Sri. This was the best article, but it was definitely
the Sri Lanka Guardian. Okay, that looks pretty legit for Sri Lanka. Okay,
I had never heard of it, but this had the most robust coverage of the topic. Japan's rice crisis deepens. Yeah, hey, this actually looks does look pretty legit.
Dang.
Profiles in courage, Trump and Eisenhower. All right, we're going to just move over to before things get out of control.
Now, I don't mean to get political here, but why do people hate pineapple on pizza so much?
The era of Japanese children being named Pikachu Pudding or even Prinsu Pudding.
Pudding.
Why would you name your kid Pudding?
They like pudding.
Puddy
They find
Puddy.
it they find it unique. They're fascinated by it. They're like, this Western food technology. It's amazing.
They always, I feel like flan always seems really popular.
Mm-hmm. Which is a Spanish, like, I don't know what other Spanish dish the Japanese eat because they're always eating either French or Italian for some reason.
Right.
Like, that's all they know.
Pudding Prince may be drawing to a close as new regulations designed to curb eccentric naming practices take effect this week. The Japanese government has implemented rules that will make it more difficult for parents to register Kira Kira or flashy baby names. Now, have you heard the term Kira Kira recently? In anime that you watch every week? That we've been watching? Are you talking? Oh.
I've heard of the term Kira Kira in a different type of Japanese live action media.
Oh.
So, yes, I have.
I meant G-Quux.
G-Quux.
Okay, you did know what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I didn't know what the hell she was talking about this entire time. Because
Well, it says right there in the subtitles.
It just says Kira Kira.
Oh, it would be nice if they went ahead and translated, localized that.
Well, if there was like back in the Animego days, there'd be a subtitle at the top that said, translator's note.
Yeah,
Kira Kira means fancy.
Well, that's because the translators were better back then.
Yeah, it's a slang for slang Japanese term for fancy would be what it would pop up and say, but Animego's a long time ago. Mm-hmm. An increasingly common phenomenon that has sparked both fascination and concern. For years, Japan has allowed a high degree of freedom in naming children, largely due to the nature of the Japanese writing system. Names are typically written in kanji, characters that often have multiple possible readings. Parents could choose unconventional, even bizarre pronunciations for these characters, a practice that led to children being named everything from Caesar to Pikachu, and even when the kanji suggested otherwise. Here we go. One notorious example is the name Shiza, Caesar, formed from the kanji meaning emperor, and Aaron, a stylized rendering of the English name Ellen, using characters for eternal love. Other examples include Raburi, lovely, Pudding, pudding, and now banned Pikachu.
Pudding.
It's the Puddy.
I thought they wouldn't they have named Aaron like Aaron from Attack on Titan?
Yeah, like Aaron. I think you can interpret it either way. And this might just be based on that particular kanji.
Okay.
Because I don't think that Aaron in Attack on Titan is named Ellen in English. I think his name is Aaron, Aaron.
Yeah.
But
I think they're kind of doing the whole, English type of translation because they said Shiza.
Shiza.
Raburi. You have such Raburi eyes.
Now I want to know. Now I want to see the localization of New Vegas because of Kaiser.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
How they would translate that.
I have joined Shiza's Litan.
Remember Giga Pudding?
Giga Pudding. Yeah. Oh, that's a long time ago.
The very
Putty.
very old memes.
It's uploaded 14 years ago.
It's even older than that, though.
Yeah.
Predates YouTube. All right, that's enough of that. The problem I have with this is why is it flan? It's
I don't
really
know.
just a giant fly.
I remember watching some. It was a live. It was a live action like romance show, and like the girl would like she kept pudding in her fridge, or she would make pudding in her fridge because the guy she was interested in would eat pudding. If anybody watched it, it was Good Morning Call.
I was
which
going to
is
say,
on
great
Netflix.
story.
It's a no. I really enjoyed the series, and they were like in high school, and then they went to college, and then I was hoping for a third season that would be like maybe a couple years after college to see how they're out, like the people were in the real world, and we never ended up, unfortunately, getting that, and I don't think we ever will.
Well, it's quite a while ago.
Yeah, 2015, 2016, something like that. So at least 10 years.
Well, now, I mean, realistically, if it was like the United States, now is the prime time to do a revival series where you pick up with them literally 10 years after we left off and see where they're at. And if it was the United States doing it, they would have broken up and be miserable, and he would have a heart attack on the first episode, and she would...
Dr. Zhivago.
She'd just go out with her old friends and have sex in the city.
Chad, the captain of the football team.
What is it with? Sorry, because you were talking to me about Sex in the City last night, and
I was. This is what two
and
grown
this is
men talk
what's-
about at
what's-
11:30 at night.
Yeah,
in
this
bed,
is what two
separate
4-year-old
beds,
men
texting each other. Like, you know,
laying in bed texting. Your wife's like, "What
there's
are
a
you
lot of
talking
edgy
about?
boy
Nothing."
memes involved too. So
What are you thinking about? Nothing. And then it's just like Sex in the City characters.
they rebooted it and they're in the third season. What?
Yeah, well, see, and I strongly enjoyed the original series. I think it's a nice microcosm of what the late 90s, early 2000s.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, that
Yeah.
period of New York that still had that, you know, that
Edge to
je ne
it.
sais quoi back.
Yeah, je ne sais
yeah,
quoi.
yeah.
But then they completely f***ed things up with the movies, and then made things even worse with this revival TV show,
And
which
the
all
prequel. Do you
I
remember the prequel
forgot
series?
about the prequel series.
Everybody did. It's like, why do you keep doing this to the show?
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares.
Nope.
anymore.
Well, I mean, girls do care. Because
Yeah, but
of
they're
you,
in their 50s now.
Yeah, but because of you asking me if there was a new movie out, I ended up, when I was looking for it, I ended up in the Sex and the City subreddit. And there are a lot of
my
women. Yeah, I wanted to, like, after reading for about 15 seconds, I wanted to gouge my eyes out. It was
What part of the gray matter do I remove to remove this
to
experience?
forget that this happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so it's like, what is the like fixation in the United States with ruining something good that happened that was made before in this decade?
No sense of self-control, and they do not know when they've passed the finish line.
But why do you have to? But okay, so even say we're going to bring it back, why do you have to ruin the characters?
Because I believe a lot of times that the people who are in very few cases, apart from very few cases, the majority of the writers that are handling this material
Are different.
are different. They have no knowledge of the original material. We've heard so many times of TV shows and movies and even video games where the writers say like, "Oh, I didn't really watch that when I was younger. I have no knowledge
Halo.
of this."
The Halo TV show
It's like
is a good
I never
example.
played the video game. I don't like playing video games, but I'm working on this. It's like, yeah, that's the problem.
The only revival series that I can think of that was really respectful to the original show is Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks 2017 was, and it was the original. It was David Lynch and Mark Frost.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they
And if you don't have a particular core set of people from the first go around, it's not going to work.
yeah.
It really isn't.
Anyhow, that was an aside.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, in
Pudding.
Japan, under the new rules, however, parents must specify the pronunciation of a child's name when registering it. More importantly, government officials will now review proposed names and block those deemed to have extreme readings or those considered contrary to a child's best interests. Names that invert the meaning of the kanji, for example, using characters with positive meanings but pronouncing them negatively, which is a unique Japanese, Chinese thing, will no longer be allowed. So we got, let's see, isn't the first time Japan has intervened in naming practices. In 1994, a man was denied permission to name his son Akuma, the Japanese word for devil, though a name meaning God was allowed, Kami-sama. In another case, Oji-sama Akaike, whose name meant prince, eventually changed his name to Hajime after years of embarrassment and disbelief from others.
All right, good. Peer pressure. Good.
Hey, I mean, peer pressure does serve the purpose of conformity, especially in Asian cultures, especially in Japan. Conformity is a big plus. And so the fact that the first thing I thought of when I read that opening about where Japan is enforcing name standards is the Japanese saying the nail that stands out gets hammered down, which is basically, obvious. If you stand out too much, you will be forced to conform to the standards of the culture. Now that is pretty counter-American ideology.
Yeah. Our ideology is basically pretty much everything goes, I feel. I'm not certain I think there's certain words that I don't know if they might not be allowed based upon certain jurisdictions or something like that, but like I can imagine like somebody trying to name their kid like Lucifer or Satan or something like that, like something
Lucy.
like, or Adolf, like kind of like you're being like silly,
But you can't,
edgy type of shit.
I don't think that you can ban Adolf. I know that there are Adolfs since the big Adolf, that because it's a German name, and like they just go by like.
Or are they hiding?
Adi. Venezuela, wasn't it?
Argentina.
Argentina, not Venezuela.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can in the United States. I'm pretty sure First Amendment protects naming your child, and that will never be taken
which is
away.
why we have a prevalence of very silly names based upon literary fictional characters.
Literary.
I gave some of those examples earlier.
I still see if it's from classic literature, it's sort of like movies. No movie made in the last 25 years is a candidate for being a great film. There isn't enough time removed from them. If you're taking inspiration from a novel from the 50s, I think that that's okay, but it still has to be. Don't be mean to your unborn child.
Yeah, because that's the kid that's going to have to live with that afterwards, and they're going to be, public scrutiny and peer pressure, just like that one guy who had to change his name and stuff like that.
Like, for example, To Kill a Mockingbird is one of my favorite books. I would name a cat or a dog Scout. I would not name my daughter Scout, even though I like the idea, but I would never. I don't want to impose that kind of.
Or Atticus.
Or Atticus. Well, I named a cat Atticus, actually.
Well, yeah,
Atticus. I actually named him Atticus Finch.
Yeah, but for in that example, like pet names, like nobody really gives pets human names. Like it's kind of weird. It's like, oh, what's the name of your dog? Jeff. It's like, okay.
My name is Jeff.
There's some names you can kind of maybe finagle and stuff, but it's like usually
Some people do. Yeah, like like I said, I named
name your
Atticus.
cat Amy. It's like,
it's like what?
All right.
It's kind of creepy. Wait.
Yeah.
I mean, there was Ralph and George were two corgis that I followed on Instagram that were brothers that they had human names, and they looked like a Ralph and a George. So occasionally it works, but yeah, overall it's like Spot or. Although there are some names, I think almost like classic literature fits animals better, like Oliver. Like Oliver being a cat or
Ollie.
a dog. Ollie sounds totally fine.
Sometimes I would say even like maybe like a Disney princess name. I don't know. Like you could name like
Jasmine.
like a Bichon Frise, you can name her Belle because she's very fancy or something.
Belle. Did you and Erica contemplate any more exotic names for your boys at any point, or was it I'll put it even okay. Was it a negotiation to the naming, or were you guys kind of on the same page, more or less?
Negotiation.
Well, did you say, here are 3 names that I'm okay with, and then she said, here are 3 names that I'm okay with, and then you were like...
Yeah, we made a list of some names that we wanted to have for the kids, if it was a boy or a girl, and then based upon the ultrasound, it was like, all right, we're getting rid of the girl names. And then we just went off of like what we had, and then a little bit of discussion. And then it was the same for the second kid. It's like, all right, ultrasound, get rid of the girl names. And then for the third one, it was like, it's a girl, but we're getting rid of the girl names. No.
Only boys.
Only men in this household.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was just curious because I feel like, if I ever had kids, it would be a painful experience settling on a name. Because I remember talking to girls in the past and being like, "Oh, like what baby names do you like?" And I'm sitting there listening, and like I can think of 2 or 3 girls where they're like, "I want this name, or this name," and I was like,
how do I get out of this relationship?
Yeah, I was already thinking, well, this is going to be an issue. And it's like, really, that name? And they're like, that's my grandpa's name. And I thought,
when he fought in the Civil War.
for the
Jebediah.
For the separatists. What am I thinking of?
The droid army.
The Union.
Dooku? You want to name your kid Dooku?
What the fuck? Who's the other side?
Confederacy.
Thank you, God.
The CSA.
Sorry.
Confederation of America.
I'm really tired.
That's fine.
I kept thinking, the separatists, the Union and the Union Pacific. Anyway,
Okay.
So the end here, they go with Japan's population in decline, recording twice as many deaths as births as in recent years. Some see this as a misplaced priority. Yet for many children burdened by names that provoke ridicule or disbelief, the move may come as a long overdue correction. Pikachu may remain in Pokemon games and movies, but not in the nursery.
Yeah, it's like naming your kid Charizard, Gengar,
Oh,
Snorlax. Hey, what's his name? He's a guy. He's been like top of the batting charts for the past 5 years in the Japan League. He gets drafted here, and they're like, "What's his name?" Snorlax. Snorlax Shimizu.
how much do you have to hate your kid to name them
Well, that's
Pikachu?
the thing. Well, that's the thing. It's like it should be the parents. First of all, if you're gonna have a kid, that's already a decision, in itself and stuff like that. But it's like if you're gonna do that, it's like be sensible when you name the kid. Like, don't give him something because like, you see all these people and they like have like Mackenzie, Michaela, Matlana, and then it's just like names.
Well, okay. I mean, at least those are normal names, and they may be fashionable at the time, and that's why
right.
a bunch of that
names.
happens. It's like it's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
There's like the trendy names, there's the classic names, and then there's the like foreign names, I guess you would say, that are, even if we're sticking to like white European names, but you still go with like Gaelic shows up, Welsh,
right?
Germanic type stuff, like if they're maybe more uncommon in the United States, but they, It's funny though, because as a young person, pre-30, I was much more pro freedom. But as I've gotten older,
every nail that sticks out.
I've definitely gravitated more towards, sadly, and it's not that I like it. It's just more that I've seen the need for protecting people from themselves. Like when I was younger, it's like consenting adults should be able to do whatever they want and say whatever they want and blah, 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 blah. The older I get, the more I'm like, most people are just stupid. Like most people are really lacking common sense.
Yeah.
And so the government does kind of have to protect people from themselves.
And I think also the other thing with that is when the parents are going to be deciding about what to name their kid, they also have to decide, like, what is this name potentially going to set this child up for in life? Because, you know, some of the girl names we've heard over the years, and I'm sorry, I'm picking on the girls, but it's like, if you're naming your kid like Diamond or Destiny or Dream, it's like, we all know what career that's going to be for them. It's going to be paid out in dollar bill increments. Candy. Oh my God. Yeah, it just like, or like some of the guys like, oh, what's your son's name? Rufus. Okay. That was my granddad's name.
To all the
stayed at your granddad's name.
To all the Rufuses and Candies and Destinies out there,
yeah,
we're sure that you're defying the expectations, defying the expectations of your name.
Yeah, hopefully, or maybe eventually they kind of like, they're like, I didn't really care for it. I'm just going to get my name changed, you know, and you can legally do that if you want. I
just feel like if my parents named me something really embarrassing, I would be open to name changing, but it does seem kind of insulting to change your name after to remove the name that your parents gave you.
All your documents and stuff,
yeah. There is the only Rufus that I can think of is the star of the movie Dark City, Rufus Sewell.
Rufus Sewell. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
that was the only Rufus I.
Oh, it's the only one we got.
Unless it's like a Rufus from like some TV show or movie or something like Rufus. I don't know. Maybe there was a dog named Rufus, some bloodhound. I'm thinking of like a bloodhound. Rufus would be a great name for like an old bloodhound that just kind of sits next to you on your porch and you're rocking cherries, you're drinking, you know, your Lone Star beers.
Lone Star is your bourbon.
Building your Lone Star can fort.
The only problem is that when you like for an animal name, you usually end up shortening it. And if you name your dog Rufus, you'd be running around being like Roofy, Roofy, Roofy. Here, Roofy, Roofy, Roofy.
What's like Roofies?
Has anyone seen my Roofies?
What's my Roofie?